Mr. Jones was a 50-year-old man. He was the owner of a supermarket in a small village. He was short, fat, and bald. With a big Stalin-like mustache, few things in life made Mr. Jones happy. The most important one would be alcoholic beverages, especially red wine. His wife had been locked up, not in jail, but in a mental institute, gone mad after so many years of putting up with Mr. Jones' nasty temperament. Pure negativity, like small drops of annoying rain, but in this case, it never stopped. The Jones couple had two sons. Neither of them spoke to their father ever again after they finally reached adulthood and left the house. Besides what happened to their mother, the two boys also suffered verbal and physical consequences. In all honesty, Mr. Jones couldn't care less about these mundane things, human feelings. He was even proud of such rejections, saying so in the cheap bar where he got drunk most days of the week, or better said, most nights. Once a month, Mr. Jones would also visit the local brothel, a place in which men would escape from their boring lives and wives, and in which even police officers had discounts in exchange for their hear nothing, say nothing policy. In any case, unlike most customers, so to speak, Mr. Jones was quite sadistic regarding his sexual fantasies. Since Mr. Jones, oftentimes, suffered from impotence, he would fight such frustration and humiliation, the Patrick Bateman style, with a Jones personal twist. The middle-aged drunk would take empty bottles or empty cans of his favorite alcoholic beverages, and well, I guess you can guess what he would do with them, plus the girls. But the fact is, Mr. Jones had lots of money due to his successful supermarket, and without family or pets to support, being a man of simple tastes, he could afford paying the prostitutes a lot more for them to endure such experiences. Mr. Jones lived alone, of course, so he would also have dinner at the bar, where he also drank. The food was actually quite good. Mr. Jones enjoyed starting conversations with the intent of provoking people. Any kind of subject, from sports to politics or religion, the classics. He just wanted to see everyone getting angry and nervous. He thrived on that. And since Jones was the bar's most faithful customer, the bar's owner didn't dare to intervene or to ban such an unbearable man. And so this was the simple life of this man. Lonely, rotten, nasty, not able to be happy, but capturing a small illusion of pleasure when he was able to, even just for a few moments, to make others unhappy or miserable. One night, Mr. Jones was walking back home, the way he could since he was drunk, talking by himself and cursing the world as usual. He was complaining mostly about the lack of public lamps in the village. But suddenly he realized that one of those lamps was spreading quite a strong light. Too strong. And it was becoming bigger and closer. Mr. Jones only later on realized that the source of the light was a UFO, an alien spacecraft. and that light captured Mr. Jones like a fisherman catches his fish. This was the best way for the terrified man to snap out of his drunkenness. He was now inside a very simple room. It was nothing more than an empty room whose walls and surroundings were made of metal. The poor bastard was frozen in fear, and he lost any idea of time. But eventually his situation changed, and Jones arrived somewhere. One of the metal panels of the room was opened, and the humanoid figure, whose features were concealed by a grayish-blue suit, which covered the alien creature entirely, entered. Mr. Jones soon realized that the alien entity was far from being friendly, as it sent a chain made of pure energy in the direction of the human being. The chain, which seemed to have a life of its own, immobilized Jones, just like a serpent would, but with an additional ordeal. One of the chain's extremities was now inside the head of the helpless earthling, who screamed in agonizing pain. Then Jones realized that he had lost control of his body, and his body was now moving itself independently from Jones' will. Obviously, the man's body was being controlled by the alien. Jones' body simply followed the alien being like a puppy. They were now outside the spaceship, and inside a gigantic laboratory, filled with devices and machines, of course. Dozens of other alien beings, all wearing the same kind of protective suit, were there. They were all operating the different technological devices, like busy little bees. Mr. Jones was no longer in control of his body, but he could still cry. And that's what he did. He also pissed himself. His body was now entering the inside of a glass capsule, shaped like a giant egg. The capsule was now closed, with Jones inside. He regained control of his body. He looked around to the outside, and he saw other similar capsules, with different and bizarre beings inside. Some appeared to be intelligent and self-aware, others no. Some were alive, others were either dead or in a slumber. Mr. Jones knew, he felt, that he was going to be the subject of some kind of experience, and it would not be a pleasant one. Outside, the aliens were now taking off what would be the protective part of their heads. Let's call it the helmets. And so they revealed themselves. Jones screamed in fear. The aliens had long curly white hair, but their skin was from a strange collection of colors, from light green to dark brown. They had small mouths with small pointy teeth, with a long reptilian tongue. The eyes were huge and yellow, and they had no noses. One of the aliens was watching a small portable monitor, which he held. But this, the alien was doing with one of his eyes only. With the other, he, or she, was observing Mr. Jones and also the remaining aliens, his colleagues. It was as if the alien creature had two different brains operating at the same time. The aliens were producing speech, talking between themselves. But Jones couldn't hear it inside the glass capsule. Even if he could, he would not understand, of course. In any case, the Earthling would have something more to occupy his brain. Suddenly, the capsule was now being filled with water. Very cold water. And then, through a small entrance, something entered the capsule. Now, Mr. Jones was no longer alone inside his nightmarish glass egg. It was a water creature, shaped like an eel, but quite beautiful and with a friendly appearance, particularly its eyes. The creature was now swimming around Mr. Jones as if checking him out. And Mr. Jones realized that, like the aliens outside, this entity was no friend. The creature started ripping the man's clothes apart, first slowly, then in a more decisive manner. The hopeless human being couldn't even scream when the creature started to beat Jones, chewing him like the piece of meat that he was. Normally, this would result in his death. But no. Something else was now inside the capsule. A couple of bionic tentacles, like mechanical arms, attached themselves to the head of Mr. Jones. And in his head, he felt energy being pumped into him. Into his head and brain, at least. Because the rest of his body was being completely devoured and consumed by the space eel. The water was never too bloody because it was being constantly renewed. Jones could not see anymore, but he could still think, hear, and feel. What Mr. Jones didn't know is that he was captured by a group of space hunters, specialized in hunting different species to sell them as souvenirs. Mr. Jones' head was now being kept alive by a battery. He was now a pitiful cybernetic organism. His head would be sold as a curiosity to other intelligent aliens. They could use his head for everything: decoration, tool, toy, a support, whatever. And the sadistic pleasure consisted, precisely, in the aliens knowing that such item was sentient and was self-aware, trapped in perpetual existential ignorant pain. It was just a matter of changing his battery every 100 years.